All right, I wanted to run this clip again that I made a long time ago because it covers what's termed a VNR or a video news release. This clip is more pertinent today than the day I made it, and I don't remember whether it's been 2 years or more. Long time ago, maybe 2013, I'm guessing. It's posted here somewhere, buried way in the back of things. Video news releases are presented to individuals who watch their news, particularly their local news, every single day. A VNR is a package that was put together by a PR firm or your government or anyone who is interested in swaying public opinion with propaganda. It has nothing to do with news. It has nothing to do with investigative reporting. It has nothing to do with telling you some actuality of something in the world. It is designed to sway public opinion by design. And these are presented to you every day during your news and edited in a way that makes it look like your local guy that you like on your news did some investigative reporting. Didn't happen. These things are being manufactured as propaganda. And this has been going on for a long time. I have read that most investigative reporting began to die in the 80s when the corporate kind of greed kicked into the point where everything was about how can we do as little as possible, spend as little as possible, and make as much as possible. Video news releases would fit this model. Basically, your local news place is being handed a free video package that they can then pawn off as real news without ever having done anything more than edit. And this has been going on for a long time. You need to understand what news is. News is no longer, and maybe never was, a mechanism to inform the public in a way that mattered, in a way that the public expected to be informed. It has always been a mass media, mass communication tool that is designed to affect people and sway public opinion. And this is a provable thing by those who would stop believing in their local news anchor or their favorite news channel on cable and dissect what happens. As a matter of fact, on any given day of the week on cable news, you can switch around every channel and you'll see the same damn story being played over and over and over. This should tell you something. Anyhow, let's jump in. I would reword a bit of this now, but most of it is still very pertinent. So here it is, VNRs. Okay, while I'm waiting for an opportunity to use the new equipment to film, I'm going to deliver this clip, which I promised to folks a while ago who have been asking me specifically about television and the news. I'm going to describe to you, as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you exactly how the news works, and in fact it is not news, not like news should be or what we expect news to be. It's anything but what news should be. And I will talk a little bit about this device, which has done more to change and shape our world than probably anything else on the planet. And I'm going to start with belief, and let me say, this is not about bashing people's religions. I don't talk about religion on this channel at all. Everyone's entitled to their religious beliefs. But the thing about belief that plays into what we're covering here today is once you believe in something, you can no longer see details. And a lot of people have a problem with that, but the fact is that belief is the enemy of knowing. And as an oblique example, when I bought my car, the sticker on the window, which I used to be a huge part of the buying decision, told me the car got 37 miles to the gallon. Well, some months later, after I bought the car, because I believed that sticker, I found out that if I rolled up the windows on a flat road, I was lucky to get 28. As another example, when my nephew was 5, he walked in the house and asked me if I'd seen a caterpillar, and I told him, oh yeah, I saw that black caterpillar, and he launched into this whole thing about this caterpillar, blue dots and all this detail, and I finally realized, man, had I even seen the same caterpillar? And I walked out with him and he pointed at it. It was indeed the caterpillar I had looked at, but I believed I knew what a caterpillar was and walked right by it. He, on the other hand, at age 5, had stopped and seen all the details his eyes could give him. Now, those are oblique examples, so I will move on to the news now, and I will demonstrate to you exactly how the deception works, and I will show you that the news is not news. Okay, so first you need to know what a video news release is, because they're called VNRs and they are a huge part of what you see on your local and on national news. So I'll tell you right here, and I know this is Wikipedia and anyone can write on here, but I know a lot about VNRs and this is accurate. A video news release, or a VNR, is a video segment made to look like a news report, but instead it is created by a PR firm, advertising agency, marketing firm, corporation, or here's the kicker, government agency. They are provided to television newsrooms to shape public opinion, not news. They promote a commercial product or service. They publicize individuals or support other interests. News producers may air VNRs in whole or in part at their discretion, or incorporate them into news reports if they contain information appropriate to a story that they're working on, which is what they do. And I will ask you now, have you ever been watching the news and been notified that you're watching a VNR? Because every day they are running these things. And what you should understand is, I don't know, around the 80s or something, when they started changing the news, they fired investigative reporters and this type of thing. There are very few investigative reporters out there. This is the reason why. It cuts costs, and a PR firm creates this not news that they then air as news and make it look as if an investigative reporter created it. Now, also you should know, critics of VNRs have called the practice deceptive or a propaganda technique, which it is, particularly when the segment is not identified to the viewers. And again, have you ever been watching news when you've been notified you're watching a VNR? And I guarantee you there has never been a time when you sat down to watch the news when you have not been presented with a VNR. Now, on the flip side of this, the firms producing VNRs, now wait a minute, how can a firm produce news? But anyhow, firms producing VNRs, video news releases, disagree and equate their use to a press release in video form. So there's one more piece here that I want to show you that is also accurate. Right here. In a report released on April 6, 2006, the Centers for Media and Democracy listed detailed information on 77 television stations that said they had broadcast VNRs in the prior 10 months, and which VNRs had been broadcast. Most of these VNR uses were of partial feeds. However, the CMD said that in each case, the television station actively disguised the video news release content to make it appear to be its own reporting, and that more than 1/3 of the time the stations had aired the entire pre-packaged VNR. So there it is. This is not news. It is propaganda. There is no reporting. There was no investigative reporter. There was no reporter at all. It was a PR firm, a corporation, a government entity to conclude the Department of Defense that made these things. Okay, and that brings us back to belief. And once you catch these places lying, they get an F, flat out. They get an F, and once they have that F, you shouldn't trust them anymore. It's that simple. When you're caught in lies to the extent of it, let's take Sandy Hook as an example. I think that was the first major media lie where many people began to catch on that this event had not in fact happened the way that the media had portrayed it. And if you know this, then how in the heck can you ever trust another thing that your government, your media, your news, any of these places say? They have shown their true colors. They have shown what they're about. Basically, if you choose to believe that your government wouldn't do that, or your favorite anchor, Anderson Cooper, wouldn't do that, that belief is blinding you from seeing the details that are pretty darn obvious. And the truth is if you can stop believing over a period of time, the deception comes into focus very quickly and very clearly, and you are not deceived to the same extent any longer after this has occurred, but it requires that you stop believing everything you're presented with. And people take this the wrong way all the time, and then they bring up religion and other things, and again, religion has nothing to do with what I am addressing here. When people caught on to Sandy Hook, they began to realize the details, like the autopsies guy, last name was Carver. So not only were they being lied to, it was being smeared in your face. You were being made fun of, basically. And people ask me all the time, you know, how can I get my news if all these places are lying? And I'll address that too. I'll show you the only way that I know how to get accurate news, short of taking a heck of a lot of time to look very carefully at all the details and everything else, which most people can't do. They have kids, they have jobs, they have all these things they've got to do. So I'll show you right now the only way that I know to get good news. And the fact is, why do you even need to know that supposedly someone was beheaded on the other side of the world? Well, first of all, it's not true. And secondarily, it has no bearing on your daily life. There's nothing you can do about it. It's pure propaganda. But anyhow, I will show you the only way I know how to get actual news. Okay, so the truth is, the only way you are ever going to get real news is to train yourself to understand the just deception that is surrounding us in the media, in our government, and not just our government, world media. They're all in collusion. You have to stop believing. Period. If you see it, say, I do not believe it, and I will not believe it until I have a darn good reason to do so. If you do that for 6 months or a year, everything begins to come into focus. And the deception, you can hear it, you can smell it. I mean, you don't even have to watch a news report. You see one sentence and you are already aware of what is going on. And then that brings you back to, well, how do I actually know what's going on over in Iraq? Well, you don't. You want to know what's going on in Iraq? Get on a plane and fly there, because that is the only way you will ever know what is going on in Iraq. Unless you know someone you trust that's in Iraq, and then you can call them. Chances are they're just going to say, well, I saw on the news, and then that is worthless. So, since this has all been a bit depressing, I will close with my own news report. What you're looking at here is a pecan tree in the neighborhood, and there are red-headed green parrots and crows that vie for the pecans every day. Right now, the parrots own the tree because it's warm. The sun's still up, it's hot. But very shortly, the sun is going to start to drop, the temperature will drop, and the crows will take the tree back over. I guess if I was a news organization, I would have told you about this big war that's going on between crows and parrots. But the truth is, when it's warm, the parrots eat, and then when it cools back down, the crows eat. And there it is. And maybe I'll try to just leave it there with a little bit of levity. So, cheers. Don't believe the news.